What's up, everyone? Welcome back. Today we're talking about February bass fishing. It's a really good month to go bass fishing. You know, things are starting to creep towards spring. Those fish are moving up. It's a great time to fish. I'm gonna show you my favorite baits for February right now. Thanks everyone for watching. Like we do every month, I talk about my favorite baits. And it's February. You know, it's a great time to be fishing. It's spawn in some areas, pre-spawn most places, even up north. You know, those fish are getting closer and closer to spawning. I guess when the ice is still there, it's not really that close, but it's still before they spawn, right? So it's still pre-spawn. But either way, it's getting good in a lot of places. It's a great month to fish. And it's kind of a month of a lot of things happening. You know, a lot of the stuff I fish in February is the same that I was fishing in January. You know, your cold water stuff, the minnows, the A-rigs, and blade baits and tail spinners, but you're starting to get more towards spring. So you start mixing in those jigs and the crankbaits and things like that. It's a lot going on. No matter where you live, it's a great time to fish. Can't stress that enough. It's also a good time to catch a big bass. It's a great time to catch those big fat females that are getting ready to spawn. You know, it's, if you look at all the records and, you know, state records and big fish, share lunkers, things like that, February is a great month for fishing. And for all these products, I'll put down links to some of my favorites, and they're from Tackle Warehouse. They are affiliate links. It doesn't change anything on your end, but it does help the channel. So I'll go ahead and put that down there. Again, I'll show you some of my favorites, but there's a lot of good baits out there. But let's start off with some of the fun stuff. We're gonna talk about crankbaits. I have a whole box here of my DT series, the Rapala DT6s. And this time of year, it's hard to beat something red, the demon color. You know, this is a really, really popular color. I have caught countless bass on it in February and March. The DT6 is just a classic bait. There's a lot of baits that do similar things. You know, you think of the Fritz side from Berkley. There's just a lot of them that are kind of similar. The Dime series from Berkley as well. Really, the Dime is kind of a copy of this, but the DT is hard to beat. And something red, I like the Demon. And then this one here, the red crawfish. I really like that guy as well. Now, it's also a good time for jigs. I was thinking back at last February, I caught some really nice fish here in Texas, skipping a jig. And I like a lot of different jigs. It's kind of funny, there's a lot of different brands that make good ones. I don't even know what this one is. I think it's a Nichols or Dirty Jigs. But the way that I fish jigs, and it's a good way to do it in February, is skipping under docks. And there's a lot of dock cables, there's a lot of stuff going on under those docks, so you are gonna lose them. I mean, I lose a handful every single trip, 3 or 4 of them at least. And it gets expensive when you buy those jigs that are, you know, $5 each. So you can do that, but what I found to be a better solution is to tie my own. I have the ability to pour them and all that stuff, but it's a lot of work, I mean, honestly. So what I have been doing lately, and what I did last year to really stock my jig box, is to buy just the blank heads. There's one from Boss, I think it's a 3-pack, and they're pretty inexpensive. And then you just get this, they have a skipping model, which is really good. And then you just get the skirt material and then wrap it with some wire, some craft wire. It's really easy, you don't even need a vise. You can just do it in your fingers. I do that and just make a bunch of them. It's a lot easier than spending $5-6 a jig. You know, you're at least half of that. Even buying all the material, you can get more jigs. So that's what I've been doing. You know, I still use some of the store-bought commercially available ones like this one, but tying your own is a great solution. And then just match it with some kind of craw trailer. This is a speed craw, but you can use all kinds of things. I like double tail grubs. I like the Rage twin tail menace from Strike King. There's just a lot of trailers on there. Honestly, I think you're skipping it most of the time. Those fish are gonna hit it as soon as it falls, so the trailer's not as critical. Same with the color. Anything that's kind of brownish or green pumpkin, anything along those lines works. Next, another one of my favorites for February is a ChatterBait. Big surprise here, right? The jackhammer. I mean, it's a classic. I like the fire craw this time of year, just like that demon color of the DT6. It's a great time to get out there and throw red. Maybe it's because it's Valentine's Day, but red is so good. This is a Zaco or Zaco from Yamamoto. The other good one is the Razor Shads from Z-Man, a little more durable, but they have them in red. You know, that fire craw, it looks really good. Catches a lot of fish this time of year. Next up, we got the minnow. I just did that review of the Crush City Mooch minnow. It has been killer for me all of January, and it's gonna work for me in February too. It's a great bait. Get out there, throw it around, shake around bait fish. This is on a Cypher Tackle tungsten head. It's a 3/16 ounce. That 3.5 inch mooch minnow, really durable and catches them. Looks just like a little shad. Next up is a jerkbait, and there are so many jerkbaits that are really good. There's tons of them out there. I use a lot of different brands, just like everything I do. One of my favorites, though, this time of year is something that dives slightly deeper, like this Megabass Vision 110 Junior +1. It's a really, really good bait. Little downside bait, gets down quickly. Really, really good looking bait. The next thing to mix in there is some lipless crankbaits. I really am liking this new Berkeley Jack. It's a really thin bait. Works really well for covering a lot of water, really, really loud. Comes in some really good colors, and it comes in 3 sizes. This big one is an ounce. This is the 8, and you got the 6, which is a ½ ounce, and the 7 right in the middle of the two. But it's a really good thin lipless that catches fish. Again, these red colors are really good this time of year, but sometimes a gold or shiner color works as well. And last but not least, you still gotta have the A-rig ready to go. This is something I've been fishing a lot in January. This is kind of a strange one. This is the BFL rig because it's only has 3 hooks. I fished a tournament last month, and the rule is you can only have 2 hooks. So I got this one, and then I have one of these with a little dummy head on there. It's a Picasso head. It's just a screw, but it still has the weight, so your bait still falls. You know, the whole rig falls. But that's how I had it rigged up and catching a lot of fish. Even after that tournament, when I could use 5 hooks, I was still, you know, just out fun fishing, I was still using this rig. This is the Picasso, really like it. It's held up, caught a lot of fish on it, haven't messed with any of the arms. One little trick that I do, you know, obviously you put Kitex on there or any swim bait you want, but the one in the middle, use a slightly bigger one. And as you can tell, this one has a lot more white in it, so it's a different color. And instead of a 2.8, I got a 3.3, which doesn't seem like a lot, but that's what they hit every time. They'll hit the little bit different bait, which is kind of crazy. It's not that much different when you look at this thing, but everyone I've caught has been on that. And I haven't had too many that missed it, you know, hitting these dummies. You know, most of the time they're gonna get that one, and everyone I've hooked has been on this one right here. So that's kind of interesting what they go for. That's a little trick with the A-rig. Throw it out there. You can wind it around looking at your forward-facing sonar around bait fish, or if you don't have live scope or any of that stuff, just go fish bridge pilings or long points, places like that. Can't beat an A-rig this time of year. It is deadly, especially when fish are eating shad, and you'll catch some really nice ones on it too. So that's the Picasso right there. But there's so many good ones out there, all these brands and names that I'm talking about, just what I'm using right now, but it doesn't have to be. That's more of a suggestion for lure types and what works. So that's that. I'll put the links down below, like I said. Check them out and let me know what baits am I missing for February. I always like to hear what everyone else is fishing in different parts of the country. Thanks for watching.